You know the worst thing about recording is that I can't play music. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. That was so obnoxious. I promise I will never do that again. Today I'm going to be showing you a super simple makeup guide for the girls who don't wear makeup and don't know how to wear makeup and don't know where to start and are intimidated by makeup and all these different things that I hear all the time. So I thought that it was time for me, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my phone, that's so rude. So I thought that it was time to make a quick little guide on how I kind of started getting into makeup. Everyone for sure has a different way that they started, and this is just kind of the route that I took and really just what worked for me. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what products I think are important to invest in and also which ones I think are just fine to pick up at the drugstore, and start with the cheap stuff until you feel really comfortable and confident. I feel like a lot of beginner tutorials are still pretty complicated, or they kind of use some lingo that people that don't do makeup might not recognize. So I'm going to try to keep this as simple as I possibly can while creating still like a fun makeup look that you will feel like a total boss in. So I really hate long intros. I'm just going to get right into it. P.S. I was going to wear like a cute shirt for you, but it's freezing in my apartment, so this is what we're working with. Okay, I gotta put my hair up. Okay, so the first thing is that you want to moisturize, and I talked about this in my last video, but whether you have oily skin or dry skin, you for sure want to moisturize because that's going to make your makeup stay on longer and just look better. I already moisturized, so I'm good to go on that. Obviously, the next step would typically be to use a primer, but since this is going to be a no foundation look, it's definitely optional. The thing about primer is that it's never going to hurt, and it's always going to make your skin look more smooth. For the sake of money, I'm going to leave primer out of this tutorial, but just know that if you want to use primer, it's always a good idea. Okay, the first step is super important in my opinion. Your concealer, which is basically going to be your foundation, is something that I personally... Did you hear that? I think an ambulance just went off for like 2 seconds right outside my apartment. Anyway, in my opinion, it's really important to invest in a quality concealer. The drugstore ones are great, but sometimes they can be not quite as full coverage as you might be wanting, or they're just not going to stay throughout the day. So my kind of holy grail item number one is the NARS concealer, and I love it because if I'm having a day where I don't really want to wear foundation, I can kind of use it as foundation. So I'm sure you've seen this before, but you're gonna want to put your foundation concealer in a triangle shape under your eye because that's the way that the light hits your eye. And since we are using this kind of like foundation, I did my triangle a little bit bigger than I normally would. I just put a teeny bit on top. You don't want to put too much on your lids because your crease will make it all crazy. And next, just do a little bit on your nose, your chin, and I have a couple little spots on my chin. Next, you're going to put it on your forehead. And if you have any spots, like over here, you can kind of see I have some little scars from acne, and I just kind of go in and, you know, just make like a little situation. And I always put it right here. Okay, now I go in with a beauty blender. You can get a Real Technique sponge at your drugstore. It's like $6, I think, and they work great. Mine's super dirty, so I'm going to be using my regular beauty blender. But just know that using a beauty blender takes a little bit of practice, but once you get the hang of it, I personally like it way better than a brush, and I think it's easier to learn. And the trick with your beauty blender is to not try to move the product around too much, but to let it kind of soak into your sponge, and then that will help it move around. Okay, now I kind of take what's left on my sponge and I just kind of rub it into the outsides of my face to help blend whatever I put on. Okay, I feel good about that. The next step is your finishing powder, and in my opinion, I love the Laura Mercier finishing powder, and it's also a holy grail item. The next part about this tutorial that's important is that all the brushes that I'm using are I can't talk tonight. They are Eco Tools, which is I think it's a Walgreens brand. No, you can get it at Target. You can get it anywhere, I think. And they're really affordable. So I'm going to take a super big one like this, and I'm just going to first be putting it on my eyes to like really help set the concealer on my eyes. And then I'm just going to kind of move it around, maybe get a little bit more to put on my cheeks and stuff. Okay, next is contour, and I know that word scares off a lot of makeup newbies, but don't be alarmed. This is going to be super simple and easy to do. I recently bought the e.l.f. Contour palette, and obviously I really liked it because I've used like literally all of it. It's super easy to use, and it's literally $6, so win-win. Okay, wait, I lied. This is not an Eco Tools brush, but I got it at the drugstore for super cheap, and the point is that you want to get one that's a little bit tapered like that. Obviously, I need to wash this one, and I'm just going to get like a pretty good amount, and you're going to want to make a kissy face like that. And whenever you do that, you'll see your cheekbones, and you're just going to want to put the product kind of right on that cheekbone. And I'm going to put a little bit on the sides of my nose. And that's like the super easy way that you can contour without having to do like all the like highlight and blending and all of that. If you want to keep it simple, then just use your kind of bronzer after you put your powder on and just kind of define your cheekbones. I got this bronzer from Physicians Formula. I got it at Walgreens. It was a little bit pricier for a drugstore product, but it's really good. If you can find one that is similar to something like this, then you know, you're good to go. But this one, I would recommend it. It's super glowy and nice, and I'm just kind of going to go on top of the contour that I already did and bring it up my forehead a little bit. You have to be really careful about the forehead because it can get out of hand pretty quickly. If you look at this, say you like never wore any makeup, even having a little bit of concealer and the bronzer and everything on makes a world of difference. So this is a great place to start. If you get to here, throw on some mascara, and that's going to be it for you. Like, that's great. Be confident. You're going to look like a bad A. It's great. But if you want to keep going, then the next step is going to be, I got this sample, and it was the first time that I had ever used Tarte blush, and I'm obsessed. I will never use anything else again. I don't personally think that blush is like the most important thing, so a drugstore blush is going to be just fine. And I'm using one of the Eco Tools brushes that's kind of big, and I'm just going to get a little bit and put it right on my cheekbones. Okay, next is highlight, and highlight is one of those things that I think is kind of a rip-off a lot of times because it's basically eyeshadow. Like, I don't actually know the difference in the formulas, so whatever about that. You basically have a built-in highlighter in any kind of makeup palette that comes with like this kind of color. So that's what I'm gonna use, and this is actually the palette that I'm gonna be using in this tutorial. But like even this one, CoverGirl palette has like 3 that you could use as a highlighter. Oh, P.S. This is just a little miniature Eco Tools brush that I have. Just gonna pop it up there and a little bit on the side and just a little bit in front. And I like to put quite a bit on the end of my nose, but not everybody does. And then on my Cupid's bow. Okay, and I'm officially glowing. Okay, now I'm moving on to eyeshadow, and I'm going to keep this so simple that you literally cannot mess it up. It's completely dummy proof or whatever. You're going to actually go back and use that e.l.f. contour palette, and there's a little like highlight and whatever on the top, and I want you to just get your finger and kind of mix them together on your fingers. And you're going to just like put it all over your lid. This is just giving you kind of a blank canvas almost, and it's gonna be a really pretty base for whatever eyeshadow look you want to do that day. Okay, now also using the contour palette. Seriously, I'm telling you, I use this for everything because it's super simple and it's great for beginners. You're gonna use that darker color that I, barely have any left of, and you're gonna want to get a that was my dog chewing on his toy in his cage. Anyway, you're going to want to get a super good blending brush. I use Sephora's Pro Blending Large 27 brush, and it is seriously the bomb. I will never use a cheap blending brush again because it makes the world of difference, and you can have cheap brushes for really everything else, but if you don't have a good blending brush, then you're just really going to look like you don't know what you're doing. And even if you don't, you want to look like you do, so get one of these. I'm going to get some of that, and I'm literally just going to kind of put it on my lower lid and just blend it up a little bit into your crease. If it looks like it's not like a natural shade and it's kind of like got some weird parts to it, then just keep blending it out and it will get there eventually. And I also like to put just a little bit on the bottom lash line. The next thing that I'm going to do is take a shimmery color, really of any like warm tone. The Naked palette is a little bit pricier, but it's a really great palette for beginners. You can use like any of these shimmery ones that are lighter. Probably this one and this one are the best to use. The CoverGirl palettes, either the roses or I think it's the nudes. I don't know. They have really good ones. Like if I did a more pinky look, I could do like this. Anyway, I'm going to be using the Naked palette for this one. And I'm literally taking Sidecar, which is that one right there. And I'm just going to put it all over my finger. And I'm going to put it on the lower lid, but I'm not going to put it on the inner corner. Just kind of start from the outside and bring it in. And depending on the quality, you can layer it and keep packing it on, and it will get more and more vibrant. Okay, now you're going to go in with that blending brush again, and just make sure that it's blended into your crease and a little bit onto your upper lid. If you have the chance to get a hold of a super light shimmery color, it's awesome to get a little bit of it and pop it into like the inner corner of your eye and a little bit onto your upper lid or your lower lid on the inner corner. I don't know what I'm saying. And just kind of blend that up. And I'm also going to get some of that and put it up on my brow bone. Okay, now your super simple eyeshadow look is complete. So you could either just stick with the eyeshadow and move on to your brows, or I like to use these Maybelline, what are they called? Lasting Drama. But I like them because they're super creamy, so you literally just go like, whoop, and they're on. So I'm just going to put it on my upper lid just a little bit. Now for your eyebrows. Here's the thing about eyebrows. You can either get an eyebrow pencil and look up a great tutorial on how to use it, or you can get your angled brush, super either cheap or a nicer one, or if you found one that is in a palette that you got, a brown eyeshadow that is a good color for you, and just use that, girl. Who needs to buy a pencil when you already have all these products that work just fine? Yeah, just trying to save you a few bucks, you know? So like for me, I have this Smashbox palette. Look how filthy that is. Like who? That's embarrassing. There's a color in here that is just right for me. So I'm just gonna get it and I'm gonna make a little line under my eyebrow. Just like that. You see that? I'm gonna follow it down. And then I'm going to blend it out. You see that? You're welcome. Okay, and I'm about to bless you with a whole nother tip. You can either use a unused toothbrush because you're not nasty, or you can steal a couple of these little free spoolie things from the little makeup stand at Walgreens. I literally went to the one at Walgreens when no one was there and stole these off the desk. I took like 5. Don't call the cops on me because, you know, I'm helping you out. I'm gonna use my little spoolie and I'm gonna get some hairspray and I'm gonna spray it on it, and then, you know, just keep those suckers in place. Okay, now I understand that another item that's very intimidating, like the contour word, is an eyelash curler, but you gotta do it. Even if you don't like to, you gotta do it, especially coming from someone who has super, super crappy eyelashes. Thanks, Dad. Okay, now saving you some more money, if you go onto Amazon and look up L'Oreal mascara, you can literally get it for $5. Do not walk into Walgreens and spend $10 on a mascara, or I will hunt you down and give you a little smack. On to the big finale. Either like a nice pink, you can do a nice salmon or nude color. Oh bless. Or you know, if you just really want to wow the crowd, you can do like a gray. Guys, are these not the most hideous swatches you've ever seen in your whole life? I was trying to be like a beauty guru and like, but alright, that was a fail. Forget the swatches, but maybe like a red, you think? Okay guys, literally that is it. This is the simplest makeup look. It's literally for the beginner of the beginner. No foundation, a little bit of eyeshadow, a little bit of eyeliner if you're feeling crazy, and that's it. Literally. You're gonna look like a beaut, and everyone is gonna be like, when you walk in the room, walk into work and do a little like hair flip, you know? That's how you do it. That's how you wow the crowd. On a real note, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that you found it useful and that you can put some of my tricks to the test and see if they work for you like they work for me. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm out. I always do pieces at the end of my videos, so I guess now it's just gonna be a thing.